Hey folks, welcome to Pengrowth, Lindbergh. Grab some snacks and a cozy blanket. We're about to embark on the journey of a lifetime. Oh, yeah, actually that's where I keep my snacks. The snack shack. This is going to be a guided tour of the Phase 1 facility. I'll be giving you a brief overview of the entire plant and the processes involved within it. Speaking of processes involved, what are you doing? What? Hey, are you busy? Hey, I'm just making a video, could you just smile at least? Oh, that's nice, that's a good, thank you. Anyway, let's travel back to a time when Lindbergh was but a twinkle in the eye of Pengrowth. The Lindbergh pilot plant was originally a cyclic steam stimulation plant built by Murphy Oil in the mid-1980s. At its peak, the facility produced up to 2,500 barrels a day of oil. Pengrowth acquired some of Murphy Oil's assets in 2004, including the Lindbergh pilot facility, which it proceeded to redevelop into a steam-assisted gravity drainage pilot plant, or SAGD pilot, in 2010. Since the pilot plant was performing so well, Pengrowth collectively exclaimed, "That dog will hunt!" and immediately started the process of designing a full-size commercial facility. Fast forward a few years, and now we're in the present. Phase 1 includes a central processing facility, or CPF, and 4 well pads consisting of a total of 22 well pairs, which also incorporates pad D01, the original well pad. Since I have no other transition for this fun fact, we have over 200 pumps at Lindbergh and over 10,000 manual valves. That's pretty impressive. Produced water is treated to be reused and converted into steam. The water recycle at Lindbergh is a staggering 98%, which makes us an industry leader. Power requirements for the facility are met through turbine cogeneration, which utilizes electrical energy for 100% of the plant requirement and waste heat for a boost in steam production. So, I guess we may as well get started with the well pads. The whole point of SAGD is to use steam to heat up bitumen. The bitumen flows much better once it's piping hot, like 200 degrees Celsius hot. The steam gives up its heat to the bitumen and condenses into water. Once the water is condensed and the bitumen is hot, the two combine into something called an emulsion. The emulsion is sampled by a unit operator and examined to see what kind of ratio is going on between water and oil. After some added magic through the introduction of a chemical emulsion breaker, the emulsion is sent to the CPF to get separated. Next stop on the train is the inlet building. This is where the emulsion has to be cooled down so it can separate in the free water knockouts. In one set of exchangers, the emulsion gives its heat to boiler feed water, and in the other, it's given to cooling glycol. The inlet building also contains the first stop for the produced gas, where it is also cooled with boiler feed water. The gas then travels through a three-phase separator where gas, oil, and water are sent to their respective locations. The emulsion then enters the free water knockout, which separates the oil and water by acting like a massive bulge in the pipe. All it does is slows down the emulsion to a crawl and gives it time to separate with the assistance of baffle plates. The separated oil is then sent to the treater vessel, which does the exact same thing as the free water knockout, just with more of a finishing touch. Next is the clean oil building, which is where the sales oil is cooled, metered, and sampled before it heads to the storage tanks. The fuel gas building is where the produced gas from the well pads is mixed with sweet fuel gas to be used in the boilers. This is a sour facility, so the fuel gas building is where some of the highest concentrations of hydrogen sulfide would be found. The process lab is where most, if not all, of the operating magic happens. This is where all the parameters are measured within the process side of the plant, with a keen eye of one of the many talented operators we have at Lindbergh. The last stop on this single-shot video of mine is the RJ building. This is the first major step on the produced water treatment side of the facility. It works by inducing sweet gas into streams of water. The induced gas picks up oil in the water and raises it to the top of 3 tanks, where it spills over into a skim tank. The skimmed oil is then sent to the slop system to be recycled back into the free water knockout. The tank building is the largest building on site. It contains water treatment equipment, water storage tanks, and oil storage tanks. The first step for the produced water is the produced water glycol exchangers. These cool the water from 130 degrees to 80 degrees so the water won't flash at near atmospheric tank pressures. Fun fact about the tank building is there's a lot of pumps in the tank building, like 45 out of the 200 or so pumps in the plant. After the water goes through the RJ system, it then meets the ORFs, or oil removal filters. These vessels have crushed walnut shells, which have an adsorbent-based affinity for oil droplets. Once the walnut media is fully used up, de-oiled water is backwashed through the vessels and the shells are cleaned right up. The last check stop for the produced water is the SACs, or strong acid cation exchange vessels. The purpose of the sacks is to soften the water before it gets sent to the evaps. That's all they really are, is massive water softeners. The south side of the tank building is the oil storage location. Once the oil is cooled in the clean oil exchanger building, it comes to live in one of the oil storage tanks. The gear pumps you see before you are the truck loading oil pumps. We will get to different shipping methods in a bit. The VRU, or Vapor Recovery Unit, is a way of recovering gas that is released in the storage tanks. It takes low pressure gas and compresses it into a usable pressure for the boilers. These are the diluent pumps. Diluent is used to lighten the oil so it can float on top of water a little easier and flow in a pipeline without creating too much resistance. Let's stay on the oil train until the end, shall we? This is the truck loading section of the plant. Oil is shipped and diluent is received from these stations. The primary method of shipping the oil is the LACT, or Least Automatic Custody Transfer Unit. That is a mouthful. It only took me 7 tries to say that properly, too. Really, it's just some big pumps in a pipeline, but it's where Pengrowth transfers ownership of the oil. Oh, the evap building. What a lovely view. This is where we at Lindbergh make some sparkly clean water for our boilers. The process starts with some exchangers to increase the efficiency of the evap towers and cool down the distillate so it doesn't flash in the boiler feed water tank. Once the de-oiled water has had the oxygen removed and been heated slightly more in the deaerator, the evaps take that dirty water and start to make it sparkly. The evap towers consist of a massive fan that heats up the water vapor by compressing it ever so slightly. This hot vapor gives up its heat to the dirty circulating sump water to make more clean water vapor from the impurity-riddled sump water. Really, the best way to describe evaporators is to picture an alcohol still. Instead of adding heat with a small flame, the heat is added with a large vapor compressor. The concentrator squeezes the last bit of usable clean water out of the dirty feed water and sends the highly concentrated impure water to waste. The source water building is where North Saskatchewan river water is softened to be used as makeup water for the entire facility. The LP boiler feed water building has 3 pumps in it. That's it. The utility steam boiler building is where our Little Victory boiler lives, hence the name Little Vicky. Little Vicky is used strictly for utility steam needs, such as wash stations, seal steam for the EVAPs, and warm-up steam for the EVAPs. The northmost edge of the facility houses the HP flare, pop drum, and clean water storage tanks. Heading back south, we will hit the utility lab, where our lovely operators test the evaporator and steam side of the process. The home stretch of our journey takes place in the steam and cogen area. The steam generation building is what houses our 2 large Victory boilers. At the time of construction, they were the largest packaged boilers ever shipped by Victory. This is the building where the majority of heat is created to help liquefy the bitumen downhole. It's also the loudest building on site. 2-hour boiler checks are also very important. Boiler feed water is pressurized to almost 10,000 kPa, so it can actually get into the boiler. This is accomplished with 3 large multi-stage pumps. The final building on our journey is the cogen building. Cogeneration is when one energy source is used to create 2 other useful forms of energy. In Lindbergh's case, it is full plant demand electricity and waste heat to create steam. This improves overall plant efficiency and limits the need for grid supplied power. We have 2 large gas turbines manufactured by Solar, and 2 HRSGs, or heat recovery steam generators, built again by Victory. And that's pretty much Pengrowth Lindbergh in a walnut shell. Yeah, get it? Like dwarfs? Dwarfs have walnut shells in them? You get it. I know you get it.
I didn't have to explain that.